We're live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here to talk about something exciting, talking about another interesting topic around consumers. And this is something that's very, very important as we look ahead to consumer products and where the huge opportunity and trends are. And these areas have not just been trending in the short term, but long term. If you look back to our subjects here, I'll mention in just a moment, into what was happening in Asia over the past 5 years, and now what's happening here in the US and globally as well. Fashion, shopping, beauty. Fashion and beauty and the technology, not only that's applied, but also just these two categories have been surging. We've seen some outstanding opportunities around these categories in Asia, where you walk into a shopping mall, you have a mirror in front of you, you stand in front of the mirror, and you have all the options. So this blends a little bit of Noble's world around AR, VR. You have all the options that you can click, boom, and actually see how the makeup or how the fashion accessories would look on you in real time while you're looking to buy. A whole new buying experience, something that we're looking at around shopping and e-commerce in the future of retail, whether that's online or offline. Tons to talk about in this category, as you can see. That's why we bring it to you here on VCTV. With that, before we go ahead and introduce each of our guests, a big thank you to you, our audience, for joining in. If you like what you hear today, please do click subscribe. And if you'd like to be on a show like today and to talk about your thoughts and insights around technology, industries, and regions around the world, do reach out to Maria and to the entire LA Token team and or myself. We'd love to find the right episode for you. And entrepreneurs, we are in that sprint towards the end of the year, the rounding out of this year, headed into the next, preparing ourselves to launch new products and also to start fundraising. This is an important time of the year. You know it, we know it as investors. We are here on VCTV to provide you the opportunity to get on a virtual stage, pitch us as investors and panels of other investors as well, focused on your area. Great opportunity, along with our entire live audience. Do reach out to the team and or myself if you're interested. We'd love to hear from you. With that, I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. Let's go ahead and get started talking about what's happening in the worlds of fashion, beauty, and e-commerce and shopping as a whole. With that, I want to introduce our first guest, Julio. Welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. Welcome. A little intro, a little background, please.
Hi, Julio Marquez. Happy to be back. Great panel with some of my great friends. I'm with New York Bay Capital. We are obviously based in New York City. We have presence in many countries. And yes, one of the verticals we look at for investments as well as for proffering advice and raising capital is the fashion world. We've got several investments I will be telling you about as we speak. The good news is we are looking for more. We are on top of these changing trends in fashion. Very interesting time. COVID has simply accelerated what had already been happening. And of course, we'll delve into that as we speak. But pleasure to be here. And I look forward to not only listening to what you all have to say, but certainly the questions or the comments that the audience might have. Always welcome.
Absolutely, and wonderful. Welcome back. And Julio, you at New York Bay Capital, I mean, you guys have so much areas of expertise that you focus on. And I'm super excited to have you here because fashion is a whole new one from what I've known before. So guys, if you were listening and tuning in and meeting Julio for the first time, in terms of he as an investor, definitely reach out to continue the conversation. Shameless plug on my part, because he does have such a diverse area of expertise and definitely a good investor to work with. And
I'm sorry to interrupt. I know this is a very bad thing to do, but I did want to say this is our newest vertical. We didn't used to be fashion investors, but we decided to get into it about 2 years ago. We're most excited about this. We think there's a dearth of investors who are knowledgeable about what's going on. And for such a large industry in the world, it's amazing that there aren't more VCs and more funds. It's amazing that there aren't any more VCs and funds in the industry as there should be. It's a billions of dollars of of money in the industry at play every day, and very risky. Maybe that explains why there are some investors who aren't there, but it should get a lot more attention.
It should, and it will after today's episode of VCTV, another shameless plug. But from one great investor to another, and she is phenomenal and has a vast amount of experience, which she's about to share with us, but I cannot recommend her enough as a potential investor for you. Another shameless plug. As the moderator, I get to do that here on VCTV. So without further ado, Irina, welcome back to the show. My new co-host. A little intro, a little background.
Thank you so much for having me back. I've been really looking forward to this. A little background, I used to work as a model. So when Soviet Union broke and these new enterprises started happening, it was it was first modeling agency, and we learned how to walk and did fashion shows and pictures, and I learned all about actually fashion from being in it, and kind of going from learning how to be a model to doing more administrative things was like an interesting journey for me. So I'm really excited about it because I feel like I have an insight from the inside, as well as, of course, the idea of seeing what does that even mean, and how much development and growth happens in the industry. But it is like a subject that's always, it has this taboo that it's only for like a vain people and only for elitists. But fashion and shopping is such a big deal, right? It's like it is the one thing that I spend a lot of time on, is shopping. And then fashion, we like to buy clothes, so it's, I don't know, it's a no-brainer there. So anyhow, pleasure to be here again. I was waiting for it. My name is Irina Litchfield. I am a president of Lumeria, where capital meets innovation, scaling companies. We assist scaling companies plus up, and I am founder of Blockchain Cube, which is blockchain technology integration company. So if you want solutions for your traditional company and you want blockchain solutions and you want to integrate and make it work, I am the woman who can make that architecture happen.
Absolutely. And again, I can't recommend two great investors more than who we have today on the panel. And I want to jump right in, guys. Again, I mentioned in the introduction, these are two very big categories. Let's focus on fashion and beauty first, and we'll get to shopping. And the reason why is I do, again, bring up Asia. There's been a lot of advancements in terms of innovation and technology around these two categories in Asia, looking at Korea, Japan, looking at Southeast China, or China as a whole, I should say, Hong Kong and other areas. Some of the technology, I mean, you walk into a retail environment, you stand in front of a mirror, you stand in front of a display, you can see clothes before you buy them. In some cases, it reduces the entire footprint of a store down to, just what would look like normally, a few fitting rooms as well. So really huge advancements into where we look at how we look at future of buying. Julio, starting with you, what do you see as the current state around fashion, beauty, and the broader version of shopping as well?
Well, there's just there's a lot to comment about that. Look, this is a cotton field, and the fashion industry depends a lot on cotton. But however, it results in a lot of waste. It results in a lot of pollution. It results, the fashion industry is famous for creating lots of garments as cheaply and efficiently as possible, but it sells them off whatever it can, and there are a lot of unsold items that remain on the shelves, and then they have to be marked down, and the carbon footprint of this is very, very inefficient. So little by little, the industry is being forced to change so that it's going to be much more mindful of the environment, while also being more efficient and delivering, better products to the customers. This this major trend is really causing changes at the point of sale. It's causing changes in the production. It's causing changes in the distribution. It's causing changes in the design. So all along the chain of of fashion and garment, you're going to be looking at change and innovation and various opportunities in there to really make a difference and reduce the carbon footprint of the industry, which is huge. Inventory carrying costs are killing the industry. People are not going to shop anymore, as you know, in retail stores. That's something that the virus has accelerated, but you already had the trend of people not going into the stores. So that means that there is a room for efficiency in the stores themselves. They need to figure out how to bring the customer back, how to keep that customer engaged, whether it's physically, like you said, going into a place and looking at a mirror and seeing what you might want to buy. Sounds like a really interesting form to attract those customers. But then you have to keep the customer engaged online, because if no one is going to come up and get to the mountain, is not going to go to Moses or Mohammed, then Mohammed has to go to the mountain, right? What you have is, you need to create an online experience that is going to really attract that customer. People still need clothes. Irina looks fantastic, even though she's at home right now. And I don't know if she's going to go out at all, but you still got to look good and you still got to look fashionable. So the online experience is changing. I mean, it's just such a large area of, almost everywhere you look right now in the fashion industry, you're going to find an opportunity to be better and more efficient and even more interesting than in the past. I mean, it's just a big answer to a very big question.
Yeah, and I think, again, AR, VR play a very impactful role in these two areas. Shopping itself, we already know, is being redefined as we look at things here in 2020. That's already been accelerated. But Irina, to you, fashion, beauty, where are you seeing things currently in these two industries as technology is being applied?
Yes, I think that when we think about fashion and cosmetics and appearance and kind of, facilitating that, we think about issues of where it's coming from. There's always, as a consumer, there's question, is this real? And where did it come from? Even when you're buying nice things, right? And so anytime you buy online, you're wondering if this is going to be the real thing that you're buying, unless, because you might be phished, which means that somebody makes it look like it's a store that's authentic store, but it actually isn't. And it's, the phishing techniques are used in stealing from people all the time. And so I think that the supply chain of the materials, blockchain integration with this industry makes a big difference. And I really believe and hope that branding companies start looking at that, because in order for them to move on to online presence, I believe that they need to be more transparent with the supply chain as well. Also, because there's more diversity of kind of companies, right? When I go to the mall, I have my favorite couple stores. I'm gonna stop by there, and by the time I have done shopping at 3 stores, my energy sucked out, and I'm like, I do not want to go back there for another 6 months or more, right? Like, for me, that's the experience of in person. It's fun. I love to touch things in person, and I know that I walk into that store. I love Abercrombie. I walk into the Abercrombie store. It's a great store. I can touch, I can try, I can see how it fits. No mirror, I think, can eliminate that experience of putting the shirt on your specific, unique body and seeing how it fits, because sometimes the seams are not just the same. You can't ever tell without trying, especially if you're a woman, because remember too is that a woman's shopping world is a diversified journey of all kinds, right? Guys have limited things, and so I think that maybe personalizing through subscription. These are the things you bought before. This is the fits you bought before. And the blockchain allows us to have that personalization, because we then, we can kind of, if we see the template of the cut that my shirt fit me perfectly, now we can, every single cut that we use for that, we can tell me, look, this is your favorite shirt fit into, in this color and this design. And I might even subscribe for them just to keep sending me a subscription and surprise me, because then I want to try it, because it's a permanent record of how my fit works. Now I can adjust my size, but my fit, exclusive fit of my body, is extremely unique. And I think that's what we can look at, is kind of how do we show supply chain for best practices, but also it allows us to have a permanent record to create kind of your own individual design. So maybe you go to store and you try it. So I think that's what I see big opportunities in. And again, it goes to waste, right? Because then we can see that we waste less. And I think that's where the conscious purchasers, consciously aware consumers are more and more. And I think it's a great marketing tool to say, it's best practices, but it's also marketing to say that, maybe we recall and recycle. Like, I'd love the t-shirt, my Abercrombie and Fitch, if they can recycle and make it cool. I mean, sometimes the cool jeans are the ones that have holes in them, right? Like some kind of a way to give back and make our earth greener and make it fashionable. I really like what Julio said, is that it's the waste. And now I don't want to waste. I'm not missing shopping in person at all. But I'm sure I will, right? Like, my 6 months is coming up.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the experience, right? Going to the store. There's an experience we have yet to change, and that is going to the store physically, trying something on, etc., as you mentioned. But there is also a trend moving towards our digital lives, and the idea of continuing that, ability to go into a store, digital, not necessarily physical, and still try something on. And we've talked about this on previous episodes here on VCTV around our avatars, right? We're living our lives more digitally than ever. And the new business model that's starting to arise is direct to avatar instead of direct to consumer. And direct to avatar actually includes that ability to purchase items that may be fashionable or fashion related, and purchase those for your avatar, so you can have that look and feel that you want in the digital world, just as you would in the physical, which opens up a whole multiple billion-dollar market, more than we already have physically, as well, around fashion. When you get into beauty, again, there's a whole area that's opening up in that space. Furthermore, but shopping, just to add on to both of your points, we are seeing that trend moving towards digital, and digital in so many different ways, not just e-commerce, but again, like I mentioned, in these virtual worlds, in this virtual economy that we're pushing forward as well. And years ago, Alibaba and founder Jack Ma introduced the O2O model, the online to offline model, where you begin shopping online and actually go and finish your shopping offline in the retail environment. And in some cases, never actually have to carry anything out the door. You just have this seamless experience of click, go into, feel or touch or try on what you need to, and it all arrives safely at your home. And we're seeing a mixture of that model with curbside pickup in some cases, more delivery in others. But again, as we move towards this digital future and avatar driven model, now we've got something even more unique as well. And Julio, I want to come to you. What areas of opportunity are you seeing around fashion? I mean, you now just opened this up as a vertical to focus on as your fund. Why? And what areas of opportunity are you really looking for in either fashion and or beauty as well?
Well, let me tell you about some things we've already done that address some of the things we've been discussing. In terms of getting rid of so much cotton, which takes up a lot of energy to grow, we're looking at a company called Simply Fiber. They make fiber out of plants, but not just cotton. They could make any kind of green, they could take grass, and it's still in the research and development stage, so it's not available commercially, but they're basically producing a fiber and a fabric from that fiber that is 100% recyclable. It's made of plants rather than specifically cotton, and it's made in such a way that you don't need to sew it. You eliminate the sewing. You can create, let's say the front of the t-shirt, right? Or the back of the t-shirt in one machine without first having to create the thread, right? Or the string, and then have to sew that string together to create the fabric in a loom. You eliminate that process. It's almost like making fiberglass, where in one setting you can create a structure, right? So companies like this that are looking to create new fabrics are going to be very valuable in the future. And also companies that are looking to replace things like fur, silk. The animal rights movement is important and has made itself heard. And there are more and more consumers that do not want to wear, animal skins, leather, furs, etc. And there are plenty of companies to look at in the, new leathers, new furs, and new silks that still feel, like the real thing, so to speak, but do not involve in any way animal cruelty, but are also clean because they're not made of, petroleum, right? So that's one area I think that people need to focus on. In terms of some of the things that Irina was saying, the consumer experience, the traceability. There's a company called Katla. We're investors in it. You should check it out. They are a commercial already. They're selling. There's no stores. It's only an online business. It's a garment created on demand. So they carry no inventory. They actually have the manufacturing ability to, when you put in your order online, that's when the garment gets manufactured. So there's no inventory carrying costs whatsoever. Because people are now used to going online and waiting 3 or 5 days, 3, 4, 5 days for Amazon or whomever to deliver their garment, it's now made it possible for a company to actually manufacture the garment in time to deliver it, because you're going to have to wait. Of course, it's not the same thing like Irina or you, Kyle, were saying about going to the store, trying it on, trying the fit. That is going to be difficult to replace. But as more and more consumers are really, comfortable with the idea of ordering garments online, having them delivered, and if they don't fit, they can always return them. But basically waiting for that, satisfaction. They're not going to wait a week or 2 weeks, but they will wait a few days, because it's just, that's how long it takes the post office to deliver. And now with the Trump changes, it's going to even longer for that post office to deliver. There's always UPS. So Katla can actually make the garment in that time. You think it was sitting there in their warehouse, but it never really existed. They make sweatshirts, dresses, various garments, and that ability to deliver, to manufacture quickly and deliver just in time right now costs a little bit more, but the trend is that it's going to be, the cost of producing that on-demand manufacturing is going to be lower. And then in traceability, we're very familiar with a company called Colectiva. This is a company that makes it makes garments in Mexico. It's based in New York, but it makes garments in Mexico. Very, very high-end luxury garments, handmade, which is why it's important that they're made in Mexico to keep those costs down. It sells at places like Bergdorf's. But it keeps track of exactly how the garment is made, by whom, where, under what circumstances, so that the that the owner of a garment from Colectiva, and by the way, also from Katla, they you will have as the consumer the information not only of where something came from, but you know, when was it made, how it was made, you know, in what, perhaps even by you know, which specific artisan. And this type of information is going to be very valuable in the future for marketing, for the company to develop that one-on-one relationship with a customer that Irina was referring to. Because once you have the fit, once you have something you like, if you can have that one-on-one relationship with your customer, it's going to be, you know, very valuable. Again, you know, long answer, because there's just so many different places where you can look to innovate. But we are, you know, involved with some of these companies and are looking for more.
Absolutely. Irina, to you, what areas of opportunity are you seeing for those to continue to build? I mean, we know blockchain is a huge impactful role around beauty, but also around fashion. Where are you seeing the areas of opportunity as we start to approach the lightning round here around today's topic?
Subscription, I think, is a really great thing to keep an eye on. We are very comfortable already with subscriptions. And there are some in the shopping, but I think that we need more for more of a fashion, right? And I think that because there's a shopping, there's buying a t-shirt, and then there's a fashion. And I think that there's so many different verticals to where opportunity kind of comes in. And right now, to me, people are just the most comfortable with that. So I think that works really well. And of course, I think that really most importantly, luxury items, right? And I'll bring it back to supply chain. Why? Because when we buy whatever clothes, right? When we spend in a range of normal amount of money, whatever it is for us, unless we're buying real fashion, high fashion items, it really doesn't matter so much if it's real or not, right? But when we're buying a real high net kind of an item, right, or outfit, there's always a question: is this real? And the only way you can make sure it's real, and I'm bringing that back because I think that's where we have a huge opportunity right now. And I believe that one of the biggest problems the high fashion designers experiencing all over the world is that, you know, that they rely highly on their authenticity by impersonal experience, and kind of that is disrupted so highly. So and buying online, I am not buying any Chanel of any kind online, right? Because I mean, I can see fishing, but if you're a good fisher for high price items, you can fish, you know, and I am not anybody's fish. Thank you very much. And so I think that that's something that we must address first. Why? Because again, it's an innovation and an integration time. And I think that that's where especially kind of a machine learning personalization comes into. And I think that looking at investments for those solutions, specifically for high fashion solutions, I think is important because it is a big gap that is missing. And the world needs high fashion. We do love arts, and high fashion is an expression of art. And the reason it's expensive is because it's made by hands, it's designed, it's a specific thing. Now, the whole industry might be having some issues on their own, but overall, we need fashion. We need to be able to have those artistic directors who are creating and pushing forward the boundaries, because let's face it, fashion often is quite ugly, okay, in my opinion. Like some things you look at the high fashion and it's like, wow, right? But to me, there's things that are beautiful, and so there's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I need to make sure that we keep innovating our expression through clothing and facilitating it in this artistic way. And I think high fashion designers really need those solutions. So those are good opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you bring up, a great point around the entire value chain or supply chain as well. I mean, the idea of track and trace and really knowing where those products came from, who had their hands on that product, right? The authenticity, but also who worked on that project, right? Or who worked on that particular product. Where did the supplies come from? How did the distribution of, revenues go as well? I know there's several projects in the blockchain space that are working on that, not just the supply chain, but also the distribution of when you purchase something, where does it go, right? And then working on the back office to make sure that things are being taken care of appropriately as well. So tons of happening in this space as well. But we are coming up in the top of the hour, so I want to make sure everyone gets in any closing thoughts and then where we can find you to continue the conversation online, because there is so much more to talk about around these topics. So Julio, coming to you first, what any closing thoughts, and then where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation if they're either in the beauty, the hospitality, travel, or many other industries that you guys focus on?
Sure. Well, I mean, I was just thinking, yes, there's ugly fashion, but there's also an ugly side to the fashion business, right? Scenes like this, um, you know, rows and rows and rows of, workers, putting together this, uh, you know, this is where, this is what we need to eliminate, you know, and, the sort of impersonal nature of, and what consumers don't know about, how is a garment created, and who's getting, bad wages in what parts of the world to, enable it. So, we have to be conscious of that. We need to try to make not only beautiful fashion, but the fashion industry needs to be a little bit more beautiful than it is, when you look under the cover. um, in terms of where to find me, well, New York Bay Capital is easily accessible at nybaycapital.com. I'm going to put in the chat my contact information, but I'm easy to find either through the website at New York Bay Capital, me, or any one of my partners in various places, or LinkedIn, of course. So I'll post it in the chat. But we welcome people asking us, are you interested in looking at my business? Would you invest in my business? Would you help me find the capital? Would you introduce me to someone? If you can't do it, could you maybe find someone who would? We're going to ask some tough questions of the entrepreneurs. We want to make sure that they know that this is going to be it's a long haul. Try to create a company and fund the company. But if you got a good idea, you'll quickly rise to the top of everyone's list. And don't give up, because you will find that funding. Just make sure you're doing something not only new and interesting in fashion today, but also better for the planet. You need to focus on those two items.
Absolutely. And again, do reach out and make sure you add context as well on where you met Julio, along with Irina, as she's about to give us her thoughts. But to Julio's point, make sure that you do continue to reach out. There's a ton of investors out there that focus in your area, and that's the key thing, focusing in your industry or your vertical. So do your research and make sure that they are interested and they are deploying capital in those particular industries and verticals that may be relevant to you. With that, Irina, any closing thoughts? And then, of course, where can everyone find you online?
I agree with you, Julio, that bettering is one of the most foundations that you just must have as an entrepreneur now. Unless you are contributing to bettering, our lives. Personally, I won't be willing to help. I think that there's so many solutions, and finally, we have a way to really benefit financially from being, ecologically aware and socially aware and make sure that we design systems that better, right? Make it better than we found it, I think is a new way we want to see the world. And so the best way to get hold of me is Google, anywhere if you want to follow me. If you are an entrepreneur and your company is scaling and it needs money for scaling or next stage scaling, right? Scaling plus mature. Get hold of me. Just message me on LinkedIn. Make sure you let me know if you're a fund and you have portfolio companies and it touches innovation companies that need funding for innovations. I need to talk to you because it is the network. We must progress our innovations forward, and it is a together work. There's not a one work for one person anymore. We must co-create. And if you need anything for blockchain integration, I am available. Now, my company does architecture integration, but we always know people that can assist you because remember, one of the things in the space, in the crypto space right now, is that there are a lot of pseudo experts, and you do want to make sure that if you are building solutions, let's say for a fashion company, you do talk to a person who actually knows what they're doing in that specific, in that specific solution. And sometimes you're going to need several experts because, like Kyle said, if you need it for, you might need to plug in different blockchains to be able to design your whole supply chain of your business, right? So make sure that you always talk to people that know what they're doing and have expertise and that experience, especially in the blockchain industry, and who are not selling you cryptocurrency or tokens too. So anyhow, I had to clarify that as the things are accelerating. Remember, things are accelerating. And when we are talking about blockchain solutions, we are in no way talking about cryptocurrency. Now, sometimes we talk about that as well in different episodes, but for baseline blockchain technology means a distributed ledger technology that allows you to have permanent record, right? So anyhow, find me, connect with me. I'm here.
Wonderful. And Julio, Irina, thank you both.
I put in our entrepreneurs' photos because I was talking about, how important the entrepreneurs are. So I thought that I should put their photos. We love our entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much, Julio, and Irina as well. Thank you both for sharing your thoughts and insights around today's topic. And definitely, audience, please do reach out to both Julio and Irina. And again, they gave you where they focus, what they're looking for. So do reach out if you fit that criteria. And if not, and you want to continue the conversation, do reach out and let them know the context of where you heard from them, VCTV, and also what the relevancy is of the ask as well. And with that, we want to again thank you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, do click subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up as well. If you'd like to be on a show like today or others, thank you, Irina. We'd love to have you. Please do reach out to Maria, the LA Token team, and or myself, and we'll find the right opportunity for you. Same with you as investors, entrepreneurs. You want to get up here and pitch us your company and or our live audience, to reach out. Also, a big thank you to Maria and to the entire LA Token team for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere on social media at Kyle Ellicott, along with our guests today. And we'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV and all week double episodes coming towards you. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll talk